Tracy Wilson. I can't wait till you meet her. Listen, if you're new to the Smart Life Club, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Do me a favor and put your name down below so I can meet you, so I get to know you, and we get to know you, and you can know me, and you can know all the members in the club. We share inspiration, motivation, tips, tools, and everything that helps everyone create thrivability and more success. Just more success in everything: health, wealth, relationships. We are the place that you meet. I see you guys coming on board. Welcome aboard. Do me a favor. Hello and good morning from Peter Anton. Hey, Peter, nice to see you. It's so great to see you. And we're going to be going live today with one of my favorite guests. Now, I have to tell you about Tracy first. I have to tell you a little bit about her. Listen, if you're watching this right afterwards, would you do me a favor and write hashtag replay if you're watching this afterwards? Thank you so much. And so good morning, Karen. Nice to see you on, buddy. Thank you for being here. Everybody, do me a favor. I see you all bopping on board. If you're on YouTube Live, welcome very much. Do me a favor and smash that like button. We're so glad you're here. Tracy Wilson is in the house. Okay, let me just say there's a Facebook user that says, "Hi, Miss." And I'm going to say, "Hi, Miss," back to you. But somebody tell me who that Facebook user is. And just above here, you're going to see a word that says StreamYard/Facebook. When you click that link, the blue button's going to come up and it's going to say, do they have permission to see your name inside the question and answer area? And that helps me get to see something. Otherwise, we're going to see something that says Facebook user. It won't tell me your name. So just smash that and give us permission to say hi to you and your name. Somebody's saying, "Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, Tracy." So this conversation is going to happen. But first, let me tell you, Sangar, nice to see you all the way from Iraq. I hope you're doing well there. Thank you very much. Let me tell you that I want to let you know it's probably about 3 a.m. Thursday morning in Australia, where Tracy is, and she has agreed to get up at dark 30 in the morning so she can hang out with us and have a cup of coffee hours before she has to be up. I just want to say thank you for doing that. That's so great. So Tracy, I just want to introduce you, and I want to do this right for everyone. You know, I want permission to be able to tell them everything. But the first thing I want to tell you is I met Tracy at a funnel hacking live event a few years ago, and her husband had flown all the way in from Australia, and we met in a hot tub. And she was one of those people where you sat down and you just said, "Instant friend." And we talked and talked. We must have been in that hot tub for 2 or 3 hours. We just chatted the whole night away. So then, you know, we did the funnel hacking live thing. And then the next day we were sitting in the hot tub again, and we were just talking for hours and hours. And right away, I knew that there was something special about Tracy, something so special. She was so dynamic and such an incredible leader. And when I decided to ask her onto the show, she sent me her bio. And is it okay if I share that with him? Is it okay if I share everything? Okay, yes. So thank you. And I want to let you know that it's so incredible what people are able to do when they find love and determination. And so Tracy started motherhood at the young age of 16, and she was determined to make her life not just be, "Hi, I'm a teen pregnancy home mom and my life is nothing." She was determined to actually go for it and make her life something. And by the age of 21, so 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 5 years later, just in 5 years, she was the first female bank manager, the youngest first female bank manager. She was 21 years old when she became a bank manager in New Zealand. Now that was unheard of at that time. And she went on to manage several very successful business units until she was offered a position in Australia. So she went from New Zealand to Australia, where she spent another 10 years traveling and climbing the corporate ladder. And everybody knows what climbing the corporate ladder is. And finally, she just said, you know what? She decided to leave the safety of all that 9 to 5 And she went ahead and became one of the top, in my opinion, especially coaches and people, entrepreneurs that hang out inside all of the world. I mean, she is everywhere, like in every country. People are constantly, wherever the world is, Tracy's out there leading some particular thing. Now, I want to let you know, she does consulting and programs and one-on-one coaching, and we'll get into that right there. But the coolest thing about Tracy, the absolute coolest thing about Tracy, is that she has chutzpah. And I thought, what's the one word? What's the one word today that would describe who Tracy Wilson is? And the word popped in my mind, and it was leader. Leader. That's someone who has the chutzpah to see the obstacles in her way. She was a 16-year-old mom. That's a pretty big obstacle to education, and she finished, and to creating the kind of success she did. That means wherever the obstacle is, she had to go through it, under it, over it, move it, blow it up, whatever imagination. That takes leadership. Now, we've heard the term that leadership is either born with or created. And today, this is so important because the topic is, how can you overcome obstacles and grow more success? Well, with leadership, you can do that. And I just want to say thank you for being here at Oh Dark 30, because that's leadership. If you look behind her, her window is there and it is pitch dark. And if you look over at my window, I got plenty of daylight coming in. This is leadership right here. And I just want to say, welcome to the Coffee Break Show. Tracy, everybody wants me to shut up so you can say hello.
Thank you so much. What an awesome introduction. Thank you for that, Vic. And it's so nice to be here. And like I said to you, it wouldn't have mattered what hour of the day it was when you sent me a message and said, hey, I want you on the Coffee Break Show. I've been watching, so I know what this show is all about. I've sort of dial in every so often just to see what's going on. And I absolutely had to be here. So it wouldn't have mattered what hour of the day it is. And you are right. It is like 6 minutes past 3 a.m. So welcome to Australia, people. This is what it looks like at 3 o'clock in the morning.
This is so great. Thank you. I want to stop because people are saying, hi, Tracy from Australia, from Preeter. You look great on all channels. Yes, we do. Hi, Sangar. Please allow access to StreamYard. 3 a.m. in Australia to be here. Thank you, Tracy Wilson. Leaders, Tracy takes the O from obstacles and makes it O for opportunities. Yes, and we are going to talk about that right now. I usually have free form questions, and so I've got Tracy here, and I know her, and I'm going to bleed her mind of everything great so we know it. And I want to take the O from obstacles and make the opportunity. I want to say, what have you inside you that you've had all your life, it seems, that has helped you create this kind of amazing success that you have right now? What are like 3 things that you will never give up on because they provided you with the most success?
Look, I think, Vic, I'm going to say, like, partly, it's naivety, being that young and just being so, honestly naive and not knowing what the heck is in front of you. Sometimes when you're naive, you just have this dream that, hey, I can do it, or you have a, I'm capable, it's possible, and you just do it, not knowing what's in front of you. And sometimes I think we're, particularly as we get older, we become more and more aware of what we don't know, and that often can become, we create these obstacles in front of us. So I'm going to say that, I was extremely lucky, and I want to pay credit to a few people in my life that have really been there to help me, and my parents have been amazing through all of that. And I certainly wouldn't be the person I am today without the support and help of them. And also my husband, John. So,
he's a great guy.
Yeah, we've been together since we were like, I don't want to tell you, like 13 years old. So like a long 12 or 13. So it's been a very, very, we've been together a long time. So, without him and having somebody by your side that's willing to support you along the way through all of those challenges. So I certainly haven't faced any of those alone. And I think that has been one of the keys to my success, is making sure that, your loyalty is extremely important, not just from the people who are loyal to me, but also my loyalty back to them, tenacity, and just being, being somebody who is, you just don't stop. You just keep going. And like you were saying, I had the choice to lay in bed and be asleep like the rest of the household, or actually get up and show up and, be willing to share and be vulnerable and share, anything on the show today. And I chose to step up and be here. So I think, sometimes it is about just busting through those fears and not being worried about certain things, and just getting on and doing it. You don't have to worry about, have I got all the answers to everything? Because you will figure it out.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I want to go back to there. You said 3 things that are really important. And thank you, because I think support is one of the most important things that you can have. And you said, well, I have fabulous parents. I had fabulous parents. I have a fabulous partner. We've been together since you were 13. I mean, that's soulmate-like. I really enjoy that. And besides, he's a really nice guy. I've met him. He's really fantastic. And one of the other things that we can have is that's gratitude. I see that's appreciation, and knowing that you stood on the shoulders of giants and helped reached up. The next thing that I thought was very interesting that you said was tenacity, and tenacity is so important to have. But it's like, where does tenacity come from within you? It's like the thing you said was just, the tenacity to get up. I have the same decision everybody else does. I could say, Vic, I don't want to get up at 3 a.m. and be here on your show with you. I love you and I'll see you sometime, but 3 a.m. is 3 a.m. But you chose out of that moment, and choices to help yourself overcome any obstacle is part of tenacity. But I would love to hear your definition of how do you invoke tenacity? How do you get to the point where you're like, I don't want to do this, but no, how do you create your drive? Maybe when you don't have it, or do you just have so much drive and tenacity? It's just kind of a thing for you. You just have so much of it. How do you create it?
I think, like, I've wondered about this and thought, how the heck have I ended up in the situation that I'm in? And, I look back and I think about, what did I do? How did I do these things? And partly, like I said, it's naivety, but it's also very stubborn. When somebody says to me, "Oh, I don't think you can do that," I kind of have this thing in the back of my mind. Will you watch me? Let me see how I can do that. And somewhere I've managed to be able to have that. Well, watch me do it. You just sit there and you can watch from the sidelines and say that, I'm not capable of doing that, but you just watch and listen and learn, and I'll make sure that it gets done. So there's very much that, but I think, maybe that is a little bit of stubbornness inside me. But also, if I didn't have that, what would I do? Everything comes down to a choice, right? So looking back, I had the choice to be a teen mum, and I absolutely could have been on a benefit and people can survive that way, and that's okay. But that just wasn't for me. So my choice was, I could either choose that lifestyle, or I could choose to just keep going and go, do you know what? I'm not going to do that. I can go back to school. I can, work 2 jobs. I can put my son at the time on the back of my bicycle and bike him off to daycare, that I could go and get my education, and then manage to, and at the time, I also, maybe I'm a little bit crazy and my husband calls me a weirdo at times, but I just say yes. I say yes to stuff that also leads to different things. So like this, right? You get up, you say yes. You don't know what's going to happen. I could have got up in the morning and my eyes could have been falling out of my head, but you just get up and you carry on. And opportunities then present themselves when you put yourself out there, and you sometimes do the things that maybe and the average person wouldn't do. The average person wouldn't get up, put their kid on the back, their baby on the back of their bike them off to daycare, go to school, train some netball kids after school, which is kind of, I didn't even think that would have been an opportunity would have come out of that, but it did. And then go to work at nighttime at a restaurant. That's not, I mean, loads of kids, loads of people do that, but I had a choice to do that, or I could have stayed at home and been quite happy to collect a benefit from the government. So I think everything comes down to choices. We always have a choice to make, and you are the person that's totally in control of that.
This is so important because I want to talk to anybody out there who's struggling. Really, this is the most perfect topic, right? Oh God, we're blowing up over here, Tracy. Let me just get some comments from the crowd over here. Thank you. Let's see. Perfect example of a great leader giving others the credit. Yes, she is. Important to have a supportive tribe to keep you going. Yes. Busting through fears. Yes. Loyalty is a two-way street. Not just what you get, but what you give. Nice. Thank you, Karen. That's so awesome. #truth. I love Tracy's perspective on life. I do too. She's really rocking. There's a Facebook user that said, one step at a time. Glad to do that. Sangar, welcome. Welcome from Iraq. We're all the way live right now from Australia to Iraq and around the world. London, welcome aboard. Driven to crush the naysayers. Weird equal rich and successful. Normal equal limited and boring. Thank you. That is so true. I want to go back to that because one of the things is a lot of people could see, because you can see Tracy has quite a bit of self-esteem, but when you're 16 and a single mom, you're probably driven by a little bit more fear. How did you develop the level of self-esteem that you have right now? I mean, was it one challenge at a time, or did you just always have this great level of self-esteem?
Did I always have this level of self-esteem? No, I think I was a very shy kid, and I mean, I would always give things a go. Internally, I was shy, but externally, I would always try really hard. I'm quite competitive, so I like to compete with people on different things. And I would sort of, not outwardly, but have my eye on, somebody in the classroom. Oh, they're really good at that, so I've got to try really hard to match them. So I very much knew that was inherent in me, but internally, not always confident, so often, like everybody else, you have these insecurities, you get inside your own head and start questioning and start second guessing things. But the more I've found that often when I'm just given a situation where you just have to go, you just don't have a choice, you just got to jump or push that button. And as soon as you push the button, it's game on. It's like flicking a switch, and you just have to get your game face on and just go.
Fantastic.
And that's just something that I think I have just been able to do that. I've just decided that I don't want life. Go. Yeah, I'm just going to go. Just don't hold back. Just jump. Just go. Get off get on that bike and just ride it as fast as you can. And life just when you start doing that, you gather momentum, and then when you start being in that momentum more, you gather more momentum. But the key is just to start. So my advice to anybody that's sort of sitting wondering, shouldn't I do something, is to just give it a go. And I'm going to somebody made a comment, just one step at a time. I would absolutely say that. You don't have to know, you don't have to lay the entire path in front of you. All you need to know is, what is the next brick I'm going to lay? What is that one thing I'm going to do today that is going to be able to make a difference? And when you do that, you then can step forward onto that brick, and you lay the next one and the next one and the next one. And before you know it, you're now in some form of momentum. Things are starting to take place. Opportunities are opening up, and away you go. And then you start gathering up some more confidence comes with competence. And when you
Yes.
become competent with things, your confidence then starts to grow. So, but that competence only comes when you start to, you start doing something, you take some action, you start learning different things. And before you know it, you got momentum and you're on your way.
God, that's fantastic. I want to talk about this a little bit more because it's so powerful. I also want to say, hey, Ken MacArthur, welcome on. Peter, thank you. Just do whatever it takes. That's true. That's from Peter. Peter says massive action equal massive results. You got that right. Mm-hmm. And so Ken was the person who said one step at a time. Now, here's what's interesting. There's, to me, two types of leadership. There's really two types of leadership. There's learned leadership, where you learn skill sets, where you learn how to organize and things like that, where you learn what needle movers are and you do the needle movers. Then there's inner leadership, and inner leadership comes from a decision about the moment. And that is a different kind of leadership. It comes from your soul and your gut and your heart. And this is the type of leadership I think you're talking about right now, because you said something that was so important. She said, a lot of my leadership comes from innocence. It's innocence. I didn't know any better. And so what's interesting is sometimes we know where we want to be and we try to outline it perfectly. So we have this map of how to get here, but it never goes to the map. And what happens that she said that's so powerful, it's like she said, Tracy said, I just lay the brick and I step on that brick and then I lay the next brick, that one next best movement, that one next best thing, and a choice. The choice, I think, came so deeply to the core of your being, Tracy, that I love so much. It was like, my life isn't going to be average. And that was a decision you made after you had a baby and you were riding your bike and strapping that baby to your back, finishing your education, getting to the point where you realized that the power to do that was in you and that drive came from your soul. Everybody, you can have leadership as knowledge, but leadership from your soul, that's when the magic happens, because you're aligned with some universal forces. So let me ask you, Tracy, I just want to share 3 leadership keys that you live by that help you start a project or end a project, or, and I also want to share the 3 leadership keys I see you do every single day after you share. But I want to know, what are the 3 things that you help you have success? Just success in anything. I don't care if it's health, wealth, or relationship, whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, so the first thing I would say is mindset, is the way in which you approach something or look at something. So you can either be a half glass full or a half glass empty kind of person. So I choose to be the glass is half full. And how can I fill that glass right up, right? So that would be the first thing. The second is like from a leadership point of view, it's like creating that vision, just being very, and not just like talking to yourself, like a lot of the stuff, and this has been something I've worked on and continue to work on, is like what goes on in my inside. So I heard this analogy once. It's like, when you squeeze a lemon, what comes out? It's lemon juice. When you squeeze an orange, what comes out? It's orange juice. So when you squeeze you, what comes out? Is it goodness or is it bad? And I choose that I would hope that when people squeeze me, it's a whole lot of goodness that's going to come out. And so that's what I try and do, is fill myself up with good things, try and then, spill out the goodness back into the world. And like you were talking about that, reciprocity, and will you give with no expectation of things coming back, because you don't expect that it's going to come back from that particular person. You just give, that your universe will take care of you in some way, shape or form. So I very much come at things from that angle, and the fact that everything will be okay. If
Yes.
you realize that where you are right now in life, that you are okay. So if you come at it from a place of everything's always been okay, everything is okay right now. So therefore, it's a pattern. What's likely to happen? Everything in the future is likely to be okay.
Yeah.
So if you can approach things from that perspective, you can move forward knowing that everything's going to be okay. It doesn't matter what I do. I'm going to be able to move forward, lay that next brick, and it's going to be okay because I will figure it out. So I would say that. And the third thing from a leadership point of view is being able to. Leadership also is about being able to take somebody else on a journey. So yes, it starts from within, but then are you able to inspire, lead, provide a pathway, give other people a hand up? Like, can you actually do that? So I've always been, some people would criticize me for this, but I've always been somebody who would never ask my team of people to do anything that I would not get it down in the trenches and do myself.
Absolutely.
So I like to think that I would, I would stand beside them and do it with them, allow people to empower them to do whatever it is that they need to do, show them the way, paint them the picture and the vision of what it is that you're trying to create, get them on board, take them on that journey, and then allow them to use their own superpowers to help you make that happen. Yes. And I think when you do that, you allow people to also grow and allow them to flourish into great leaders too. And I've been lucky to have some awesome leaders along, in my career, and continue to have some great leaders that I follow today.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, what you said was so mind-blowing. I mean, they're just the basic premise of a loving kind of leadership. I loved, my very favorite thing was that giving was so important to you, and standing by them and doing what exactly it is they would do. I so agree with that. I would never hand out something I would not do with my team. I will do whatever it takes. I will stand up. We are a unit of brilliance that works together. And somehow when you're willing to lead from the front like that, it creates all kinds of greatness. I want to talk about the three things. The reason I asked Tracy to be on the show, the reason I asked her to be here, these are the leadership qualities I've always seen in Tracy 100% of the time. Every time I've hung out with her, every time I've talked to her, every time I've just noticed her. One is that she is very inclusive. If you come into the circle, the first person to greet you and ask you into the circle and about you is Tracy. It doesn't matter what Facebook group you're in. It doesn't matter whether you're in the hot tub with her. It doesn't matter what circle you're in. She's very inviting and very inclusive. And she is aware of it. If there's like 25 people in this circle or thousands of people in a group, when you walk in, she's the first person to say, welcome to the group. The second thing she is very giving. She gives away constantly in the groups that I know. She gives away notes. She gives away templates. She gives away the stuff she uses to her colleagues and says, listen, if you're doing this right now, you might want to use this because this has helped organize me. Now, she's also good at organizing people. I've watched her in a group silently organize the whole group. We all got in the group and we were just kind of sitting there waiting for somebody to do something. And Tracy stepped up. She was like, hey, this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 blah. She just had this leader right from there. And she said, we're going to keep a productivity calendar. Are you up for a 30-day challenge? She is in there creating and leading all the time effortlessly. And I was like, wow, I love how she thinks. I love how she draws. I love what she does. And this is what people notice about her. And the reason she becomes a trusted advisor is because she leads from the front that way, constantly giving. Now, I want to go over here for a second because everybody's talking and wanting to say hello. Let's see. Robin and I love the tsunami results. Bam, interesting visual. What comes out when we're squeezed? That's right. Your temperament of who you are comes out when you're squeezed. What do you want to come out? Donald Gifford. Hey, good morning, Donnie. Nice to see you. He said, I like that squeeze. Let's get juiced. That's right. Thank you, Donnie. True leadership. Never ask your team to do something that you wouldn't do. Wow, Donnie says. Wow. So the importance is, here's the thing. Nobody's going to invite you to the table. Nobody's going to defer on you. I declare you a leader of the world. You either step into that role or you do not. It's a decision you make in your life. Somehow, when you make that decision, when you make that choice, you're going to be stepping up in the ways you want to. What I like about Tracy is that in the way that she steps up, she doesn't step up like, give me, give me, give me, give me. That's not how she steps up. She steps up open-handed. Let me share this. Let me give this. Let me stand by you. Let me provide for you here and give you notes. Let me be a leader. And in that kind-hearted way, a lot of times when we lead, we want everybody to just follow us. You know, I'm the leader, so let's follow us. We never say, I'm the leader, let me give you this. Let me help you become thrivable. That's such a different type of leadership. Now, I also like her. The most important thing I like about her is she can be a leader with a plan, or a leader because if it's fly by the seat of my pants, I'd rather fly by the seat of her pants and have her tenacity and get there. And she has one thing that she said, and I want you to speak more about what this is, Tracy. When you say it's figure outable, because you've used that 3 times in this conversation, I'll just figure it out. What does that mean? It's figure outable. What does that mean? How do you know what the next best step is? How do you perceive in you, oh, this is the brick I need to lay right now? How do you access what that next move would be?
Well, I suppose it's like, you've got your logical brain, your thinking part of our human body, and then there's the your gut and your heart, and sometimes it's just sit friggin' quiet for a minute. When you're walking in something muddy and you think about, now I can't see, I don't know where to go, and you just keep walking and you're trying to figure out your way. Sometimes the best way to figure out what your next move is just to flame and stop for a minute. Just stop for a minute and let the dust settle, let the mud settle, and you then are able to see. If you think about that's what happens when you're in murky water. If you stop for a minute, the water will clear. So yes. Sometimes the truth is, sometimes I have no friggin' idea. You just start something with maybe it's a crazy idea. Maybe it's like something that's a little bit unconventional, unorthodox. And then you look at, okay, well, how can I make this work? I've got an example of this, and I've become the resident cake maker in our family. And I'm not a baker. I've got, I can cook, and I'm a pretty good cook, and my family are pretty good cooks. But when I left, I didn't do a lot of baking when I worked in my corporate world. Anyway, this all came about because my younger cousin her mum had passed away, and I promised that I would kind of look after her, and it was her 21st birthday, and I said to her, I'll organise your cake. I got you. I'll sort out your 21st birthday cake. So off Tracy goes to the shop to see the woman at and I had this idea of this elaborate cake that I wanted made. And I went to the shop, and the woman told me how much this cake was going to be, and I almost fell over. It's like I had no idea how much fancy cakes were. Anyway, I'm looking at this cake, and to myself, I'm thinking, I could make that. I could give that a go. I can do that. So Tracy, naivety again, I can do that. I can bake that fancy cake. So off I go to YouTube and I YouTube how to bake a cake. And this is, I'm talking using fondant, which I'd never used before. So never done any of the things that I had to do to bake this particular type of cake, because it was not your ordinary cake, because Tracy wanted a big, deck of cards with the Queen of Hearts and all sorts of fancy stuff on it. So I just YouTubed it. And up till, I think it was 3 a.m. in the morning that time, baking this cake. Anyway, this cake turned out really, really good, to my surprise. And then the rest of the family were like, oh my God, that's so amazing. So I don't know how many cakes I have ended up baking over the course of the last sort of 5 or 6 years, because I stepped out and went, I can do that. I will figure it out. I will go to YouTube. Like everything, there is somebody else has already done what we are setting out to do. Somebody has done it. So the key is not to try and go and reinvent it yourself. YouTube is a wonderful thing now. We're on YouTube. Go find somebody who's done it. Maybe find a mentor, find a coach, a friend or a family member that's done what you want to do, and figure out what it was that they did, and then you go do it. And that's pretty much how I have managed to operate my life. Is like, just give it a go. Say yes, give it a go, and then figure out, well, what do I have to do next? Okay, well, I have to bake the cake. Okay, now I've got this cake. How do I shape it? The next thing I do, I figure out how to shape it. Then the next thing you do, what do you do? Well, you've got to put some buttercream on it, and make sure that all the crumbs stay in, called a crumb coat, with all these little things that are totally baking a cake, totally unrelated to business, but absolutely related to business, because you are just doing one, you've got a recipe, you do one thing at a time, then you figure out what's the next thing you do. The next thing I do is crumb it. Then what do I do? Well, then you've got to put it in the fridge for a little bit and make it set. Then the next thing I've got to do is roll out my fondant. Well, how thick do I roll it out? You figure that out. Then you put the next thing on, and before you know it, you're just layering one thing on top of the next thing on top of the next thing. And you're just, like I said, you're just figuring out what the next thing is. And you are looking to other people for patterns, ideas, what was it that they did? And you're then determining, well, does that make sense for me?
Yeah. Yeah, that it was so beautiful what you said, because right now that is kind of business development. Business development is just taking that next step. Now, when you screw it up, you just do it over again. Like if you screw up the fondant, you do the fondant again. Now, this is so important to understand. Leadership has taken a different term. It's not where you go into a corporate. There's a brand new leadership out. And it is, I think it should be the Figure Outable Leadership Academy or something, because there is a point where that 1-800 hand-holding is over, and it's been over for a long time. And leadership now is a lot about leading yourself. Now, I want to talk about when you left corporate America and you decided, I've had enough of this. I want to know what businesses you're working on right now. I want to know why you left. What was your hope, and what are you working on right now, and how did you put it together? And I also want to open this up. It's you guys, if you have questions for her, throw them in the box. Everybody's so excited about what you're saying. They just keep repeating like, oh my God, she said this. You're dropping jewels everywhere. They say, when you aren't sure what is next or begin to start, just be still. It will come to you. What a great leadership skill. Now, really think about that. That was so great. There's something else. They say there are always mentors available, either live or YouTube videos. Live live that you give it. Live live that you give it a go. Oh, everybody's talking really fast. Live that you give it a go. Live that you give it a go. Okay, I think that was something else that somebody said that might be a typo, and I can't make it out. But this thread is on fire right now, Tracy. I'm going to scroll back up here because I lost the thread. Let's see. figure outable in quotations. Let the dust and the mud settle. Let the dust and the mud settle. Listen to that. That's so great. Wait a moment and let the murky waters sit and it will become clear. That is the perfect explanation. Be still. Everybody's still on that. Be still. They like it. Super analogy. Business and leadership is like making a cake. That is correct. Hey, Barb, nice to see you on, buddy. Okay, she says, totally in alignment with the everything is figure outable philosophy, passed down to be by my mother, the greatest generation. Best book I read last year was Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo. Yeah, it's great. She also credited her mother with sharing that philosophy with her. How cool. Let's see. I'd like a piece of cake with my coffee. That's right. We like a piece of cake with our coffee. Scott said, spit it out, Vicki Helm. I know, I stutter. You guys are going so fast, I can't keep up with this. Okay, then this is the last one I'll read, and then I want to go back and get, because I want to throw there. So you guys got questions, throw them in there, and Tracy will be with you. The greatest generation certainly had to live by that philosophy, was either figure it out or just pull up your bootstraps and keep going. Yes, they did. And sometimes that is like, if I had a business card that said, Tracy will help you learn to pull your bootstraps up and keep going till you win. I mean, that's it. So let's go back and talk about your, why did you leave your company? What are you working on now? What did you give us the leap from corporate, because so many people want to own a business. So many people want to make that leap from their job to their business. How did you do it? Tell us how you did it and what you're working on now.
Well, yeah, okay. So 7-8 years ago, I decided that corporate world was not for me anymore. But look, it wasn't sort of one of those spur of the moment decisions. It had been something that had been going on for a number of years. I always thought, oh, I'd quite like to have my own business one day. And obviously my career took me all over New Zealand and then here to Australia, and which I've been so lucky to have had the opportunity to come and settle here. So one day, whilst I was in corporate, I was in so I was a regional manager of a bank, and part of my role was to be the ambassador for women's markets. So I was, part of my role was to be the champion for women in business. And that meant that I had to, I had to set up like speaking engagements and events and what have you to help women thrive in business. And this one particular day, I got a phone call from a lady who was an ex-Olympian, who'd spoken to somebody else, and she'd been put on to me as the person that could potentially give her an opportunity to speak in front of a crowd of hungry small business owners. So anyway, unbeknownst to me, naivety again, didn't know anything about this kind of entrepreneurial world or what she was even up to. But I cut a long story short, she had contacted the bank because that was going to be her platform to launch her business and her program. So I put on several events for her with 100 odd people in the room, and then found out later that that process launched her business from like nothing to 6 figures in a matter of about 3 or 4 weeks, because she'd put together, any of you watching, if you understand the perfect webinar, she sort of had this is pre-perfect webinar days, but had this presentation where she sold her program at the back end of it. Anyway, through these events, it wasn't until after a couple of the events, my staff members said to me, you should do that. You'd be really good at that. And so my mind started ticking, because I'd already been thinking this, that's pretty cool. I reckon I could do that. I'd love to train and teach people and help them grow their businesses. And that then was like, bing, there's the opportunity. See, there was another say yes, help somebody else. And out of that becomes either an idea or an opportunity that comes from it. So I then start thinking to myself, I would quite like to do that. So I make this flippant comment to her one day, I'd quite like to do what you're doing. She says, you should. You should come and work for me. You should come and be my business development manager. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I probably could do that. Well, then, bugger me, the next week I go to work, and my role that I was in ends up in a redundancy pool. So I'm like, okay, I have a choice now to, and the bank had offered me several other positions to stay. And at that time I said, well, this is kind of my opportunities now. I can either kind of jump ship and go and do something a little bit different, or I can stay and continue doing what I was doing. And I enjoyed my role at times, but I'd also got to a point where I was pretty burnt out doing that, and the corporate organization that I was working for wasn't really aligning with my leadership style, and we were doing this thing called performance management, which which is camouflaged as you're supposed to help somebody grow and get better, but it was actually a camouflage to, you need to performance manage somebody to a point where we can exit them easily out of the organization, because the organization at that time was going into a time where they were decreasing staffing numbers. Like I said, that just did not sit well with my leadership style. I didn't like having to performance manage people out of an organization, because I realized that there's a family at the end of this conversation that I'm having with somebody. So it's sort of, I suppose, all the stars aligned. There was an opportunity that became available at that time where redundancy was on hand, and I thought, yeah, let me take it, let me out of here, and I'll go and do my own thing. So I went and worked with her for free for a period of time, just to sort of learn the ropes and understand how all of this worked, and got her some good results, went on to work with somebody else for a little bit of time, and then thought, you know what, it's time to put my money where my mouth is, and start my own thing.
Fantastic. What are you doing right now with that? I mean, is this your first business, or is it the same business? What are we doing?
So I've got a couple of things going on. So my business has significantly evolved since those early days, but I definitely still have my business, which is, the baby that I started with, Business Beyond 5, which is a consulting company based here on the Gold Coast, Gold Coast of Australia. And I started out helping small business owners with, writing their business plans, helping them get funding, helping them navigate sort of the world of business and organize, systems and processes. And then that fastly, people were asking me to help them with their marketing. Of course, had no let me say, degree in that area, but given my background, was pretty good at figuring stuff out and making things work, and promotions and what have you. So help people with that, and that then started my fascination and interest in the whole marketing space. I'm just going to switch. I've got an alarm going off. I'm just going to stop that. So started my fascination in the marketing world, and that led me down this path, and that's how I ended up in how you and I met, because I got interested in marketing and helping more people with that. So right now I am working on, I've got a white label marketing agency. I have my consulting business, and I'm just in the process of about to launch my brand new program where I actually teach people how to take their skills, knowledge out of their head and put it into a profitable and sustainable business where they can actually spread their knowledge and their goodness into the world on a much larger scale.
That is so exciting. How do they get involved with you? And I want to let you know, I have watched Tracy create success story after success story after success story. It's like, if you're thinking about having this thing where you like, I don't know how to take it from here and make it out there, this is the person to work with. And what if they want to get involved with you? I'm going to just plug you out right now, and I'm pimping her out it's probably almost 4 a.m. now, but how can they get involved with you if they have an idea they want that?
Well, thanks, Vic. Like, as per normal, this is, certainly didn't come here to plug what I'm doing as such. So I'm a little bit unprepared, but what I would, I'm not going to ask you guys to go and opt into something or go and sign up on my list as such, which I absolutely should, and you should if you're, you're doing marketing. But this was very much, just about sharing and giving back. But the way that you can get in contact with me, I'll just head on over to my personal Facebook page for now. I'll be on there just sharing some more information about how you can, if you want to work with me, you absolutely can. I would click the PM button and just start a conversation with me, and let's see where it goes. But go to my Facebook page, and so Tracy Wilson, you'll find me on Facebook. I'm located on the Gold Coast of Australia. I'll give it to Vic, and she can put it inside of the group.
Thank you, Karen. I was going to ask, Karen, will you just put it up for us?
Yep.
Put it in the
and
link?
Just follow me. follow me there. And also you can find me at Tracy M. Wilson. That will be where I put a lot of my business stuff. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll be in there. There's not a lot on that page right now, but I will be in there shortly, just sharing what I'm up to, and giving you some more information about how you can learn more, and how I can continue to share some tips, tools, and resources with you over time.
Thank you. I want to say, Karen, there's a lot of people still buzzing about what you're saying. I think people are like studious today taking notes, because they're just repeating all the gems you've dropped. But here's one. This live is rocking. Just like we promised, I have 4 coffee break quotes to post. Keep it coming. Peter said, so true, when your timing meets your destiny. That is Peter's favorite thing. It's like when your timing meets your destiny. And that's so true. That's a great lesson I got from Peter. Peter says, Tracy is a true leader with a lot of passion, vision, and courage. I agree with that. Listen, it's 4 a.m. where she is, and we've gone way over time. I want to say this. I want to say, thank you for being such a great friend. And I enjoy you so much, Tracy. One of the things that I love about my friends is a lot of us are entrepreneurs, and our time schedules are tight. It's one thing right after the other. And when you can call a friend, you can dial a friend and say, hey, will you get up at 3 a.m. and be on my coffee break show with me? That's a friend. And the thing I like about my friendship with Tracy, that I like about my friendship with Felicia Slattery, that I like about my friendship with Sterling, that I like about my friendships, is that when you're an entrepreneur, your relationships just stand. They take off right where you left off. There's nothing different. Nobody's upset. They just know we're busy changing the world, one book at a time, one person at a time, one program at a time. Remember, lay your brick down, take a step up and do it. I want to thank you so much, Tracy, for being here and always being such a great friend. I'm so excited you were here. And I think that this is going to be one of the funnest lives on there. We're just going to have the replay going. And if you want to get in touch with Tracy, we'll have something in the list. You can go to her Facebook page. Peter said, thank you, Vicki, and thank you, Tracy. You can go to the Facebook page, click on and get to know her. She rocks. I mean, this is the leadership woman I love so much. Thank you so much for being on the Coffee Break Show today with us.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks everybody for watching. I hope that I've been able to share some good gems, and I look forward to seeing you guys all be really successful in your business. Head on over to my Facebook page and just let me know what's going on and what you're up to. And if you've got any questions and you need some help with something, just post on there, and I'll be sure to come back to you with some advice and some direction if that's what you need.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. We will see you next Wednesday for the Wednesday welcome. Tracy, thank you, and good morning. All right.
Good morning.
Talk to you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Later. Bye-bye.
Bye.